Hello and welcome to BBC News. The Vatican says Pope Francis has spent a good night in hospital after being admitted with a respiratory infection. A spokesman said he had been breathing difficulties, but they also confirmed he was not suffering from COVID. The BBC's Davide Giglioni is outside the hospital in Rome.
A spokesperson informed journalists that he spent a peaceful night at the hospital. His condition remains stable at the moment, and the Vatican has tried to reassure journalists, people and Catholics all over the world. According to Italian news agency ANSA, the Pope should be discharged within the next couple of days, and he should be able to celebrate next Sunday's Mass. Everyone knows at the Vatican that the Pope's been particularly weak over the last couple of months. We do know already that he was forced to use a wheelchair, so it could be quite tiring for him, even if he's able to attend all the ceremonies and Easter celebrations.
Well, we can get more on this story now with Ruth Gledhill, who is assistant editor of The Tablet, an international Catholic journal. Ruth, thank you very much for your time today. The Pope has been suffering from a number of ailments and health issues for a while now. How concerned is the Catholic community about this?
Well, the Pope has always been very open about his health. And so naturally, when something like this happens, a sudden admission to hospital that wasn't expected just before the busiest week of the Church's year, then naturally that does raise concerns. And in fact, even President Joe Biden in America has been discussing it in a meeting he had with Argentine President Alberto Fernandez yesterday, and they're both very concerned about it. So I think we can take from that as read that the whole Catholic world really is concerned. However, it is very reassuring news, as we just heard. ANSA reported about 2 or 3 hours ago that he's had a very good night, and the nursing staff at the hospital are incredibly optimistic that he should be out of hospital in time for the beginning of the very hectic Holy Week schedule, which starts on Sunday, Palm Sunday.
Is it too much, though, to expect the Pontiff, he's 86, if he does get out of hospital in time, for, as you say, the busiest period, or one of the busiest periods in the Church's calendar, to fully participate in all of those masses and other events?
Well, Pope Francis, I think, knows what he's capable of. And we mustn't forget that shortly after his election, he did sign a resignation letter and said that, if he became unable to carry on for health reasons or other reasons, then he would step down. So the Pope has always been really realistic, but also he likes being Pope. He's very good at it. And I think he'll carry on. He does believe that you're Pope for life. So I think he would have to get much worse than it is now for him to step down as a result of something like this. However, it is possible he will find a way and people around him will find a way to maybe reduce some of the more hectic aspects of the coming schedule. But also, we mustn't forget that he will do it all in a wheelchair. He's been in a wheelchair for around a year now because he's got terrible problems with one of his knees, and he doesn't want that to be operated on. And he's been actually working with a football team, a coach on a football team, doing some physio and stuff like that. And there has been improvement in that knee. So he's on top of his health, really, we can say that. And I think we should see this hospital admission, at the moment anyway, as an example of him being on top of his health, rather than as an example of him being frail and about to kind of not do very well at all.
Yeah, he was asked under what circumstances would he decide it was time to step down, and he said if he was suffering from a tiredness that doesn't let you see clearly, a lack of clarity of knowing how to evaluate situations. Just looking at this from the flip side of the coin, would the Catholic community be better served by someone who wasn't suffering from a number of health conditions? Does the role demand someone who is physically fitter?
Well, he's the third Pope now who we've seen suffering frailty, can we put it like that, towards the end of their lives. And I think, questions will be asked, but not during the time of this Pope. But I'm sure that when eventually the church is looking for another pope, that people will think about how to deal with this issue. However, he is very robust still, and that you mentioned that word clarity, and that's a very important word. And there's no question that he still has very high acuity. So his physical discomforts are not affecting his mental clarity at all. And he's got this very intense program that he's embarked upon of the Worldwide Synod. And there's two big meetings of the Synod of Bishops coming up later this year and next year. And there's a big program. We've had the listening process with the Worldwide Church, then there's been the continental meetings that have just finished. Documents from those are coming in. And the next stage is discernment. So the synodal process is an advisory body to the Pope when he will decide if and how the church needs to be reformed and what can be done without policy decisions in Rome and what can be done on the ground. And many churches are already instituting reforms that they can do without a policy change from Rome. So he's got this big program that he's very passionately committed to. So I would be surprised if we see a change in the papacy before that is through.
Ruth, we must leave it there. Thank you very much for your thoughts on this today. Ruth Gledhill, assistant editor of the Catholic journal The Tablet.